Go ahead.
Bonjour. This is Barrie
Bonjour.
Friedland, and I'm here with Jacob Kravetz. And DSOT has an international chat today with Sylvie Boudreau. And we are crossing the border. Well, actually, we're meeting at the border. And we'll be talking to the president of the Board of Trustees of the Haskell Free Library and Opera House, which has an amazing story. Sylvie, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
So,
you.
as Barrie mentioned, this library was founded in, I believe, 1904, and it has a very interesting both history and location. And so maybe you could take us through a little bit of that.
Okay, in 1901, it started to be built, and it opened in 1904 with Martha Stewart, the original Martha Stewart Haskell. And she was a widow she was Canadian, her husband was American, and they lived in Derby Line. And she was hosting in a big house. She was hosting, people were reading, and there was some cultures, there were some shows, and she decided that with the money, they were wealthy, to build a library and an opera house to right on the border, and it was intentional to put it on the border. So she wanted to unite both communities and both countries, because it's, I don't know how to explain that to people that don't live on a border town, but living on a border town, it's like on the other side, yes, there's a port of entry, but on the other side, it's like family. It's like being in the same village. And at the time, there were borders, but the streets where the Haskell has been put on Church Street and Caswell Avenue, there was no gates, no granite blocks. There was nothing. People were walking. I mean, I'm not saying with the cars, but walking back and forth without any problems. So, and also in Canada, at one point in the 1960s, and women, it was closer to go and have children in Newport, Vermont. So we have a lot of people that are dual. So dad is on, mom and dad's on one side, grandpa is on the other side. So it's been always like that. So Martha Stewart Haskell wanted to unite and promote literacy and culture.
So it was finally built and established in 1904.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Today is 2025.
Yes.
So it has been just a beacon of not only literacy and literature, but culture. Can you talk about the Opera House or the Performing Arts Center?
Yeah, there's many artists that came to the Opera House. Either it's opera or it's a theater. We have also books reading. Now we have film, like we call that, like movies that are not mainstream, but they are movies from other countries. So we continue promoting that kind of culture, and and we have people from both countries that are coming all the time, and inside the library, yes, there's a line on the floor to determine, to say, okay, this is Canada, this is United States, but people inside, we don't care from where you are from, it's like we're all there for one thing. It's literacy, culture, and also the architecture, which is beautiful.
The description. Oh, sorry, Barrie, go ahead.
No, you go. We watched a video and with an incredible tour, and apparently for the Performing Arts Center, the stage is in the United States, but the seats are in Canada. Oh, it's the other way around?
The other way around. The stage is in Canada, and most of the seats are in United States. And there's one or two seats where you can put your butt in the United States and your feet in Canada.
The description, I mean, I think both of the line inside the library, as well as just the ability for people to walk across, at least traditionally, really sort of demonstrates the sort of arbitrariness and political fiction of borders as a human construct, and a very specific type of one, right? Not even one that something that knowledge and community often transcend, that there isn't, that these borders that we draw are actually quite permeable and not as clear as the lines we'd like to sometimes draw.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I'm not very good with dates. I love history, but I'm not very good with dates. I think, like the commission of the border, international border, was created, and they decided to do the official border between Canada and the United States many years after the Haskell was built. And but we knew that there was a line, for sure, but to be official, to be on papers, to be surveyed, it was many years after.
But you
Mm.
also make the excellent point that in the different generations in a family, they could live in one country or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I remember some of my uncles and aunt, they couldn't find more jobs in Quebec, like in the manufacturing industries. So they moved to Connecticut. And there was no
Mm.
problem. You didn't need a visa at that time. You didn't need anything. You wanted to work, go ahead. You are welcome. And they are still there today, and their family is there. Many, many, many Canadian moved to either Massachusetts or Connecticut to find work.
Right. Yeah. The so one, you had mentioned before we started the actual interview that you had worked on the border for
Yeah.
20 years. And so can you talk a little bit about, at least in your own experience over those 20 years, sort of what it was like when it started and how that has sort of evolved and changed over time, both, I guess, as a microcosm within Haskell and the library, and as a larger,
Yes.
sort of phenomenon.
Okay, so what happened? I started in 1998. Okay, and I was 40 years old at the time. I said I need to have a real job. So I started there, and it was just like we were opening the door and saying, "Hi, do you have anything to declare?" We we didn't ask for passport. I mean, if someone was from another country, yes, if they could, we could see that they didn't have a plate from the States or whatever. But besides that, nothing else, where do you live in the States? Where are you going? Thank you very much. Have a nice trip. It was that easy. And even at that time, I remember we would, it was in the area of, they were talking about opening the borders. They were talking about doing only spot checks and kind of, only the people they thought, would be a problems, more also on the commercials importation. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I won't have a job in 3 years. I was sure about that. I said they were talking about closing port of entries on both sides. And 9/11 happened and everything changed. Everything changed. At that point, I mean, we didn't have any firearms on us. We didn't have any mace, no bulletproof on the Canadian side. And it started. So we started being equipped with guns and everything. Um, and it got worse and worse and worse. Now everyone had to show proper IDs. United States, we didn't need a passport to go into United States. Your driver's license was good enough. And after
Mhm.
9/11, a few years after, United States was asking for passport. Everyone would need passport. So a lot of Canadians, I mean, it's expensive to have a passport. So some Canadian decided, okay, that's too bad. I'm not going to go there anymore because I don't want to pay for that. So we saw a lot of Canadians that didn't go in the United States anymore. And so the United States were asking passports. So for us, it was automatic that we had passport. People were coming into, because if they wanted to go back to the United States, they needed the passport. Anyway, so it got worse and worse and worse. I mean, in Stansted, we have 3 streets that were opened. Okay, that were open: Church Street, where the Haskell is, and 2 other streets. So they started putting gates. They put granite blocks on Church Street, cameras all over the place, sensors. Um, it became a paranoia, really. It really became that. But at the Haskell, we still had our access because the main entrance of the Haskell is on Caswell Avenue in Vermont. So we had that access on the sidewalk, which is about from the line of United States and Canada, it's about 90 feet to go to the entrance. So we were still able to use that without any problem. But the USBP and even the RCMP didn't like it that much because they couldn't control who was coming into the United States, even if it was just for that 90 feet. They were going either to the show at the Opera House or to the library and coming back, and they didn't like it. So COVID happened, library closed. When there was less restriction, one day was the American, one other day was the Canadian. And when no restriction happened, this is when I came in. The no restriction happened while I was there, as I was a member of the Board of Trustees. We decided to open now. We decided to open. And the USBP decided we don't want people to cross on the sidewalk anymore. And we were just like, come on, it's been over 100 years that we are doing this. So we had an emergency meeting with US.
What year was, so Sylvie, sorry, what year was this?
That was just after the COVID. So that would be in I would say the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. I'm not sure about the date. We had, I had people from our federal government. There was, there was
And you were
people.
already getting pushback at that point,
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
like
But
trying to
that
close
was,
down this. Yeah.
yes. Because what bugs them the most is that the non-control of the people that is coming, even if that person is just doing the 90 feet coming in the library, they want to know who's in there because there's a paranoia among, some people. And some people were saying, well, we have some people scouting the place to do something wrong. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying that we never had people coming and look at the place to see if something would be possible. But that's their job on the border, USBP and RCMP, to take care of these people, not the employees, not us or anything. Us, we are there to help people in the library, to do tours, to book shows, and have fun, And when Donald Trump was elected in November, I was just like, oh my God, I think that's it. I think, I told my board, I said, I have a bad feeling about this. And when Christy Noem came, I knew it was a question of weeks. So they would deny the access from the American side. But you can always go and use the American door, but you have to go through a port of entry, so you cannot use the access on the sidewalk. I mean, it's going to be official the 1st of October. Right now, some members can still use it, but a lot of people refuse to use it.
Now, this is very American. There's been an assault on libraries in our country from everywhere. And so here you are, not only you this symbol of cooperation and collaboration and
Friendship.
unity, but you're a library. How dare you have books?
Yeah, I know. But you know what they do with books right now? This administration, there's some books that are banned at few places. Yeah. So, I mean, this place, it's a symbol of unity and friendship between two countries. That's they've been allies and friends from forever,
Yeah, as I was saying to Barrie, before you got on earlier, that the building itself and the story is like almost a physical manifestation, right? Made real of sort of the antithesis of a lot of what people in charge right now are sort of promoting as in terms of the closing down the borders, restricting knowledge, and sort of doing more control and oversight of everything. That the Haskell literally exemplifies the opposite of that almost, and the possibility and the promise of that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a side of me, like the border officer, the law enforcement person. I do understand where it's coming from, but there's a difference between understanding, what it is, and you have to look at the facts and the threats. There's no threats. There's have been few incidents, yes, but nothing major, no terrorism, no stuff like that. Yeah, we had a little incident about a month ago, and this is not good for us, and I did a bunch of journalists called me from Quebec, and the message was very clear. You want to come in the library, you want to come and visit, you want to come and see the shows, you want to come and hear about the history, about the architectures, you are welcome. You want to do something illegal, you are not welcome. We don't want you at the library. There was this young guy, 18 years old, and his father. His father was not allowed in the United States because he has a criminal record. So they had the brilliant idea to drop the father on the Canadian side. So the guy came into the Canadian door, and the son, 18 years old, crossed the border without any problem and got and pick up dad that did get out from the American door. They got caught. They got caught because, there's so many cameras. And they spend a night in jail, and I'm telling you, they won't be able to go back to the United States for a long, 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 long time. And I don't know if they got a fine or whatever, but they are, it's over. They cannot go into the United States. Mm-hmm. So we don't want that kind of incident,
Well, I have to say, we are a far more violent country than Canada. And if I was Canadian, I'd be more worried about guns coming in from us than, and you talk about this isolated incident of a man, and, a lot of terrorism, especially here, is homegrown. It's happening here. And, when Jacob and I were talking about this, he said this was a double whammy. And I think he put that in email to you. It's the fear mongering about the border and the disgust or disdain for learning, for books that
Yep.
that is coming right now in this country. And just very quickly, there was a woman in Pennsylvania, and she was just elected board of trustees of some library there, and she's insisted on being sworn in holding on her hand on a stack of banned books rather than a Bible. And I mean, the assault on education and books and reading, and then here you are sitting on the border, our oldest friend and ally. And so you had a visit this year, I believe,
Yeah.
from
At the
from
at
one
the
of
end of at the end of that was I think the 30th of January. Yeah. 30th of
So you did
January.
not
Yeah,
waste
it was
time.
in
was it fun?
no, huh?
I said, was it fun?
Well, the only fun part is just that, like when any official comes, the bomb dog needs to sweep the place. So for me, being a retired K9 unit, I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, let's go. I had fun, with the guy, with the dog and everything. I was just like, oh, come this way. I'm going to show you this. Okay, you should go and sweep that way. Because I was doing drugs and firearm at the border, but after that, when I retired, I did some bomb job, with bomb dog. So the thing is, they didn't tell us in advance. They just the Secret Service came in the end of the morning, talked to my director, and said, "Well, you might have a visit, from an official from the United States." So she called me right away. I was out of town. I said, "Oh, I'm coming." So came at the library, met the bomb dog, look at this. And let's say the circus arrived. I would say it that way. So many people, Secret Service, bodyguards, USBP, US border, and it's kind of impressive for people that don't deal with these people all the time. My employees were kind of seeing all these guns and seeing all these people. There were at least like 20 something people in there. I have to say though, Mrs. Noam was polite towards me. She was difficult to see her eyes, but she was polite, except when she did her little stunt, and that's it.
Can you tell the stunt, or should we?
Yeah, the stunt was that on the line in the library showing United States and Canada. So when she was on the US side, she was just like number one USA. Jumping in on the Canadian side, she was just like 51st state, and she did that 2 or 3 times.
That's adorable.
Yes.
Ever since your new prime minister, and kudos for electing a doctorate in economics for your president, ever since he sat down with Trump, Trump has stopped saying 51st state. After an initial meeting, I guess the memo hasn't gone all the way down, but you have a very impressive prime minister, and so at least he has stopped talking about invading and taking over.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Oh, please, at least.
Unbelievable.
At least. Yeah, at least, it's for me, even if I worked in law enforcement, I would think that human beings would have evolved. We are in 2025, that we wouldn't need any more borders anymore. That we could, I know it's utopic. I mean, it's ridiculous thinking about that, but we are going backwards right now.
unfortunately, I think there was a choice made in the late 70s, right, early 80s to, open up the flow of capital and restrict the flow of people as a method of, increased control and profit exploitation. And we are, you know, still in that logic. But yeah, different choices could be made, and Haskell shows that there is real possibility of creative solutions in open community. So what happens now? So the this administration, as you discussed, the previous administration, the Biden administration, had also been leery of and unwilling, and unhappy about allowing this sort of open flow of people.
Yes.
And now that's sort of been more formalized, right? I think you were saying that it's going to be in October that officially people are no longer allowed. So what is the situation as it stands right now with the library?
So right now, as soon, okay, when we had that meeting like 2 years before, for me,
Mm-hmm.
I was already in a solution mode. I said, okay, if they are doing this, if they turn around and they say, that's over, we cannot use the access because because we have students, from elementary school in Stansted, Quebec, that comes, to the library. They come to go in to the movies. Impossible for these kids to go through the official border. They don't have passport. They don't have anything like that. So I said, okay, do we have a door that's on the Canadian side? So I looked at all the surveyor, the look, everything, and there we had a emergency door on the side, in the back, but on the side of the building. And I looked, and the line, I mean, I'm telling you, between the door and the official border, that might be maybe 10 feet. And I said, okay, this is 10, 15 feet. I said, this is our way out,
Mm-hmm.
They don't want us to go on the sidewalk for 90 feet. Fine, we're going to create our own entrance. So when the USBP called me and told me that, this would happen, I said, okay, we're going to open the Canadian door. And they said, do whatever you want. It's in your country. I said, okay, we will do it. So we did it. Right now, we are using it. It's not perfect. We are still, it's long because it's an historical building. So I need approval from Historical Quebec, Historical Vermont to be able to create a new door, to make put a little roof over it, do a parking for handicapped people, and all this. So this is expenses that we didn't expect. And when they told me that, I said, okay, let's do it. I did call the federal government, our deputy in Quebec. I did call the mayor, and we arranged a press conference. It was huge. It was huge. We decided to do a GoFundMe. And we said, well, I didn't know how much it would cost. I don't know anything about that. We said, well, most likely we're going to need $100,000. And we raised to this day, we raised like $300,000. Yes. And
It's
we
very
received,
heartening.
yes. And I mean, I get emotional, every time I think about that, because we receive so much money for you guys from United States. It's unbelievable. People were sending us cards with check from United States, apologizing for the administration. And they
Right.
said, he's not our president. We are sorry. We are so sorry we are doing this to you guys. So we receive even money from Europe. I mean, it's been good. And I can tell you that at $300,000, I don't even know if we're gonna have enough because everything costs so much money and it needs to be done properly. It needs to be done with certain rules, and so, but it's going to be nice. It's going to be functional. For sure, it's not going to be a grand entrance like the American entrance, but it's going to be ours.
And then once it's completed, the children, the schools can come through without.
And not just the schools, we have a lot of visitors like you do have from other countries in the United States, like we do have in Canada. So if you want to go legally in the United States, you need a visa, okay? So before, people from other countries were crossing that sidewalk for 90 feet without that visa that the time cost $10. So some were, and there are some countries that cannot go into United States and they can come to Canada. So now they're going to be able to come into the library, come to the Opera House without being, either intercepted or without fear. So they're going to be able to come in.
I have to make a slight correction. The United States is seeing less and less foreign visitors recently. There's been a huge drop in foreign tourism. And even within the United States, there is places like Florida that people don't want to go, and for a variety of reasons. So Canada still has this wonderful, diverse welcome mat, and we a little less so, or a lot less so.
I think let's go, Jacob. Yeah.
I wanted to know, is there any danger, or within the building?
No.
There's no danger at this point of any sort of
I
problems with
I will
free
tell you,
access and free.
they don't have jurisdiction inside. The library is private. It's not funded by any town or government. Yes, we ask for money to the towns around. They give us every year like a few $1,000s. If we do repair on a building, because we did a health assessment of the building, and I'm telling you, we have for 3 millions of repairs to do on that building. So we do for grants, we go for grants, but nothing, it's not like a town library that it's the town that's paying the employee, it's paying for the building, it's paying for the taxes, paying for everything. For us, it's private. So it's with donation, endowment, and grants that we survive. Yeah. So inside, they are welcome, USBP or RCMP are welcome inside the library only if we ask them to come in if there's a problem.
Gotcha. So yeah, well, that's good that at least it is, it seems like within the building itself, it is going to remain, sort of that beacon and that haven of sort of open learning and exchange, and that, while it may now have two entrances, that it
Yeah.
will still be something that a resource, that is available to everyone. So, well, so just the last question before we get going was, if people want to continue to, help sort of ensure the library's longevity, or to help generally sort of the cause, how can people get involved, and what sort of do you think is an important way to, stand up for this sort of community and an open access to knowledge and borders that the Haskell has?
The GoFundMe is still open. We don't know when we're going to close it. But you can come and visit us, and we do tours. For sure, it's $10 per person. You can come and look at our films. I know, I'm talking about people that are all over the United States, but to show the support, you want to send a check, you want to go on our Facebook page, go on our website, And we always welcome supporting comments, and we even the girls are, the employees are great. One decided to, I don't know if you have seen the pins that we have. It's where's my pin? Do you give me
Yeah,
few?
go. Why don't you go get the pin? That'd be very cool for people to be able to see.
Yes, I think, we can mail it to you. I don't know if you can see it.
Hmm.
So this is the friendship pins. So we put Canadian and American flags with the library on it. And we are selling like, this is selling like crazy, this is the friendship pins. So, and I'm gonna get emotional. I love you guys. We love you, Americans. I mean, it's just that right now you guys are going through a tough time.
We are putting ourselves through a very tough time.
Yes, I do send you guys a lot of love all the time, because that's the only thing I can do right now. It's to send, positive energy, and this is what we should all do, for all the whole heart, because all the countries are right now it's not easy for anyone.
No, it's not easy for anyone, and it's this world is full of an increasing and growing set of challenges, unfortunately. And I think that places like the Haskell Library, that sort of both exemplify, as we've mentioned repeatedly, both that access to open knowledge and sharing that knowledge and sharing community and culture across borders and across peoples is really, just an exemplar of what we should be striving for in this time. And so, really want to thank you so much for both the work that you're doing there, and for taking the time
Thank you.
today to talk with us. So we really, really
I'm,
appreciate
I'm
it.
glad I met you, I'm glad I met you. I'm glad you invited me. And hopefully one day, I will see you at the library. And yes,
Yes,
Barry, I mean, we'll do a big party at Sonia's place.
And back,
wonderful.
back at you. You're if you can get past the guards, you're always welcome to visit us. And but but Canada is our wonderful ally, friend, neighbor to the north. And I am trying to get my French, as I told you, back up and running. And what better place than Quebec?
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
So thank you
Thank
so
you very
much for
much.
joining us, Sylvie, and thank all of you for listening. And until next time, don't shop on Tuesday.
Thank you.